friends, this is Yvonne Davis, your traveling warrior astrologer and author of The Power of Manifestation, Creating a Life You Love, and In the Magic Flow, a journey of personal transformation. Welcome back, friends. I'm Yvonne Davis, your traveling warrior astrologer, and I have a full moon video for you. So before we get started, my special for the new year is going to be over soon. So if you're interested and you want that discount, go ahead and check out the link below in the description box. And you can order multiple readings if you want to give them as gifts, or if you know you're going to want more than one reading this year, then you're welcome to do that. But it will be closed soon. So please take advantage of that if you want the discount. All right. Now, the other thing I want to say is we are having a Patreon live Zoom meeting on Friday in my Patreon. So if you want to join our live Zoom party on Patreon, come on over to my Patreon channel and become a member. There's a link for that below as well. All right, let's go look at that chart and see what it has to tell us. I'm starting with the chart for today when I'm making this video, December 15th, because Mars is about to conjoin the South Node. And when Mars hits the point of the nodes, or also called the nodal point, the nodal degree, then Mars as an activator will activate some karma around that, okay? This probably relates to the new moon eclipse that we just had, because eclipses are always very karmic. And I can say for myself, I feel super excited about this because I was lucky enough to have the new moon eclipse coincide with my solar return. Whenever you have a new moon on your solar return or very close to it, in other words, very close to your sun, a conjunction to your sun, that coincides with your solar return. And that means you'll have a year of new beginnings. New moon on your sun, conjunct your sun or very close to it. That corresponds to your solar return and indicates new beginnings for the year, that entire solar year from one birthday to another. If it's a new moon eclipse that lands on your sun, that means you're not only having a lot of new beginnings that year, but it actually is like new life beginnings. So those beginnings will be triggered during the year, and they will go on and just on and on and on, usually for like 19 years. You'll see a cycle that's 19 years long that starts with a new moon eclipse. So I'm super excited about that. But this, even though it might not be quite as dramatic for other people, if you didn't have it landing on your sun or another planet, can still be create very exciting new life beginnings. And so Mars conjunct that nodal point is an activator. So it begins to activate a lot of the karma and destiny embedded in that alignment. So that's really exciting. At the same time, we have Venus at 26 degrees. She just conjoined Pluto, and she's about to turn retrograde. So that's important as well. So I will go ahead and turn to the full moon eclipse now. Okay, so I'm turning to the Gemini full moon now. This is on December 18th at 11:36 p.m., so around midnight on the East Coast. And of course, it will be earlier on the West Coast, and you can just adjust for your time zone. So I really like this full moon, not only because it's Sagittarius and Gemini, but it's making a trine to Jupiter in Aquarius, which rules Sagittarius, which is where the sun is. It's where Mars is. Mars is just activated the nodal point, and that's where we had the new moon eclipse. So having this full moon trine to Jupiter is very added beneficial energy. Also, it's lining up with the galactic center. So there's extra energy there to really help you to get some kind of cosmic download. I think a lot of us will be having tremendous like enlightenment, light bulbs going off. We'll be able to learn things that we may not have been aware of before. So this can be really super helpful. So we've got that full moon trining Jupiter. We've got Mars conjoining the nodal point, activating the new moon eclipse, activating the karma. And that trine to Jupiter is super beneficial. Now we need to look at Venus, because Venus goes retrograde the very next day. So these two events, the full moon trining Jupiter and Mars conjoining the nodal point and activating that, all of these things happening in Sagittarius and Gemini. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. All of these events also correspond to Venus going retrograde, because this is happening on December 18th around midnight. And then the very next day, which is the 19th, early in the morning, Venus turns retrograde. So she literally turns retrograde about 6 hours after this full moon. So it's these two events are tied together. Okay, they're interlocking. That energy is that really can't be separated. These are not two separate astrological events. They're tied together. They become, actually, I should say three, maybe even four, because when Mars crosses over that nodal point, it activates that new moon eclipse in energy as well. Not to say it wasn't already activated, but it's like more super activated, like it got a turbocharge because of Mars crossing over that nodal point. And then the full moon brings everything to fullness, fruition, culmination. It's trining Jupiter. And then within 6 hours, we get Venus shifting retrograde. So these events are tied together. And also, I think the fact that the full moon is lined up with the galactic center, Venus turning retrograde is going to help illuminate so many things that we may not have been aware of. So the combination of the full moon, Mars on the eclipse point, we just had a new moon eclipse. It's lining up with the galactic center. It's trining Jupiter that rules Sagittarius. All of these events are here to like open our minds, expand our consciousness, turn on light bulbs, help us to see things we could not see before. And it's not just like an aha moment. It goes really deep into deep karma, subconscious, your psyche, your soul, and your shadow, because all of those things are very much tied to Pluto. Pluto is an extremely karmic planet. It's the ruler of the underworld, which means it's the ruler of your shadow, your subconscious. The moon is also tied to the subconscious. And when the moon is full, you're illuminating and something is coming up. So there's this excavation that's going on with Venus retrograde over Pluto at the time of the full moon and the galactic download. It's like there's this excavation that's coming up and bringing all the stuff into your awareness. Okay. So I would say, if you've been in any toxic situations, these events, these karmic events tied to the full moon and Venus retrograde over Pluto and all of this is really going to put it so much in your face that you won't be able to ignore it anymore. Okay. It will force you to, whatever change was initiated because of the new moon eclipse, it triggers karma. The planets and their positions now are absolutely going to force you to deal with this. It may take as much as 2 months because that's how long Venus is retrograde for 6 weeks, but Mercury is also going to cross over Pluto 3 times, going first direct, then retrograde, then direct. So Venus does it 3 times, and then before she's even done with her retrograde period, Mercury does the same thing 3 times. And then Mercury goes direct about a week after Venus goes direct. So Venus will go direct on January 29th, and Mercury will go direct very, very late on February 3rd. So basically the energy won't really be direct until February 4th, which is a week later. So in fact, it's probably even less than a week, but a week at the most. So if, you know, like if you go through the full moon and you have this awakening, this awareness, the events will still maybe take 2 months to unfold, because it's coming into your awareness. And if there's a lot of like deep karmic stuff, and if it's toxic, you know, for whatever reason, maybe you have been in a toxic relationship, codependent, addiction, whatever, if you weren't willing to face it, if someone was being dishonest with you, if the relationship was toxic or had toxic patterns, and you weren't willing to look at that, you have to look at it now. You have to deal with it now. The way the planets are aligned, they're not going to let you ignore it any longer. Okay. So I don't want to imply, when I use the word karmic or, you know, psyche or soul or shadow, I don't want to imply that everybody's going to be dealing with toxic stuff. I'm just saying, if you're one of those people who's dealing with toxic stuff, or the way it's landing on your chart is forcing you to deal with anything that you haven't been willing to deal with or haven't been willing to look at, then this can be difficult, because I mean, Pluto's pretty harsh, you know, so, and Venus retrograde over Pluto can be harsh if you have not dealt with this stuff. Okay. Now, if you don't have any toxic stuff going on, and you, and it's landing very nicely in your chart, like it could be forming conjunctions or trines or sextiles, and those can sometimes be easier to assimilate and sometimes even favorable, then it's fine. Like, for example, Venus retrograde can actually offer a lot of benefits. Like, for example, weight loss, creative work. Venus retrograde is fabulous if you do creative work. It's not good for putting that creative work out into the world. You want to wait for it to go direct. But for doing the creative work, like you're at home, you're alone, you're doing this kind of inner, behind the closed doors, behind the scenes kind of creative work. If you're artistic, if you're a writer, anything you like to create, and you're doing that by yourself behind the scenes, you may be collaborating with other people. That could be a little more difficult, because then you've got all those relationships and you never know if someone else has got some toxic stuff, or, you know, it triggers something in you. But if you're doing it by yourself, the creative work by yourself behind closed doors, Venus retrograde is really helpful for that. So that'll be good. It's also going to show you what you value at a very deep soul level, and possibly even touch on some stuff that is really intense, maybe even obsessive. This kind of alignment, whoever is out there that's involved in some kind of love triangle or other kind of toxic romantic relationships where obsession can be activated, jealousy, possessiveness, any of that, that's how it will manifest for some people, and that will be very difficult. I kind of doubt that there's anyone watching my channel who is in that boat. It seems like most of the people who watch my channel are pretty aware and conscious, and probably not dealing with these kinds of toxic or issues around addiction or obsession. So you probably won't have to worry about that. It'll probably just be your average everyday, garden variety toxic relationships. Who doesn't have those, especially around the holidays? It all seems to come out around the holidays. Any dysfunction in the family or other relationships. So you might see that. But anyway, now you'll know what to look for. You'll know what to expect. Just understand that, like, the universe is never out to get you. The universe is always trying to give you a mirror into your own psyche, so that when you see it, you can change it. It's giving you an opportunity to grow and change and become a more conscious being. So that's what we've got activated with these alignments. And again, if you want a reading, just check out the link below. If you want to join the Friday Zoom party on Patreon, just check out the link below. That's fully live. We're face-to-face on Zoom, talking, building community, answering questions. So if you want to join that, come on over. Okay, so that's it for today, and I will see you again next time.